the great and glorious King. You are strong when you feel weak. In your brokenness complete. Shout to the north and the south. Sing to the east and the west. Jesus is Savior to all. Lord of heaven and earth.
Welcome back to Jan Markell's Understanding the Times.
Welcome back, my friends, to the program. Glad you're with us. Brannon Howse in for Jan Markell. She's just had surgery, and I thank you for praying for her. Continue to pray for her as she goes through recovery, and we'll bring you an update on Jan next week in the program. Till then, please continue to pray for her and continue to visit her website, olivetreeviews.org, olivetreeviews.org. Jan's conference is next week. I know it really is hard for Jan to know that conference is going on and she's not going to be able to be there. But it will go on, and she wanted it to continue because it's important that it does, because there's so much important information to get out there and so much to equip the saints with. So that conference is still a go. It's going to be very well attended, and you can find out all the information at olivetreeviews.org, olivetreeviews.org. I am Brannon Howse with Worldview Weekend, and I have the privilege of sitting in for Jan for the next few weeks until she gets back, and we're going to hold down the fort. But don't forget, her website is still there. All the articles and the news stories that are being updated by the staff at Olive Tree Views, you'll find them at the website, olivetreeviews.org. My website is worldviewweekend.com, worldviewweekend.com. We're going to be in the Twin Cities for our free Biblical Worldview Weekend rally on Sunday night, October 17th. I'll be speaking, and along with me will be Dr. David Noble of Summit Ministries and Dr. Erwin Lutzer of the historic Moody Church in downtown Chicago. He's going to be speaking on 7 lessons America should learn from Nazi Germany. He spoke on this for us in Branson, Missouri this last April. You don't want to miss this presentation. So I'll be speaking. Dr. David Noble of Summit Ministries will be speaking on his new book, You Can Trust the Communist to Be Communist. And Erwin Lutzer will be speaking on 7 lessons America should learn from Nazi Germany. I'm going to be speaking on Last Days Deception or Biblical Truth. If you want to register, you have to do so at worldviewweekend.com. It is free, but you do need to register at worldviewweekend.com, worldviewweekend.com. If you are listening to us outside of the Twin Cities and would like to receive any of the DVDs, like the one by Erwin Lutzer, 7 Lessons America Should Learn from Nazi Germany, we did film it, and it is available, along with many, many, many other DVDs at worldviewweekend.com, worldviewweekend.com. We are bringing the Worldview Weekend Rally to many, many cities across the country, so check out the website. You may find we're bringing one near you, and they are free at worldviewweekend.com is where you'll find all the information. Joining me on the phone right now is Gary Bates. Gary is with creation.com, creation.com. He was speaking for us this last weekend when we were in Wichita, Kansas, Lincoln, Nebraska, and Mitchell, South Dakota at the Corn Palace. Had over 1,000 people in Mitchell, South Dakota, which is amazing because there's only 12,000 people that live in Mitchell, but folks drove from a lot of places, even from Montana, to be with us, and Gary joined us to speak. He didn't speak on the topic I'm going to address with him now, but he did write a book on this, Alien Intrusion, and we're talking about this because the United Nations has now appointed an ambassador, and it came out in the London Telegraph this week, to greet any alien visitors. And I prefaced it with setting up today's interview with Gary with the rise of pagan spirituality, the merging of the world's religions, people talking to, I believe, demons. They think they're talking to the New Age Jesus or to angels. And really, they're all coming together, and they can all come together under universalism, under pagan spirituality, under pluralism, under radical environmentalism. And I begin to believe that the demonic realm is actively involved in these UFOs and is helping to set the stage for the coming of the one world religion and the Antichrist and his counterfeit miracles, signs, and wonders. Gary, welcome to the program. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Brannon. Nice to see you again after just a couple of days.
Well, thank you for being with us. It's great to hear your voice. Tell me, what do you think of everything I've been setting up? I know you've been on the line listening, so I'm going to let you go and just comment on what you've been hearing.
Well, it seems the whole UFO phenomenon seems to come in waves. You know, when there's a rash of sightings, it's called a wave, but it usually seems like there's one activating event, and it seems to bring a flood of other claims out of the woodwork. This started actually a few months ago with the British government releasing files on UFO reports under the Freedom of Information Act. We've had famous ufologist Stanton Friedman follow up from this this claim that the UN is going to appoint an ambassador to make contact with the aliens if they land. And just a couple of days ago in the news, U.S. Air Force pilots have claimed that they've seen UFOs, and they've actually, deactivated missiles at missile bases across the United States. Those things are actually known to me, but they're not, widely known by the public. And so it seems, one event, and then it brings everybody else out of the woodwork. A lot of these events actually, were covered and described in my book as well. So if people want a background, a Christian explanation, they can get them there. The big
What's
issue,
the name of the book, Gary?
Brannon, is what's happening is people, generally the world, if I can use that expression, and of course governments do not recognize the supernatural. And so with all things, for example, if what we're seeing with UFO sightings is supernatural phenomena in the sky, we know that the Bible explains that we've had supernatural visitors, and they have been able to interact within our physical dimension that you and I live in. They've been able to harm people. They've been able to alter things. So, a snapshot of what's happening in the UFO realm is the same old phenomena that we read about in the Bible, visitations from fallen angels, etc. But they basically masquerade themselves in the modern guise. I showed in my book that people have been having experiences for as long as we've had recorded writings. For example, a few hundred years ago, it was well recorded that people were having visitations from fairies or elves, and the morphology of them was very similar. They got taken away. They had periods of missing time. There were sexual encounters. People had markings on them. They were given visions of the future, all sorts of interesting things. Now, the difference today, of course, is if a fairy stood at the bottom of somebody's bed, the person having the experience would doubt their own sanity, of course. But, of course, hundreds of years ago, things like fairies were culturally acceptable. Sections of the population believed in this supernatural phenomena. In an age where we've dismissed, if you like, the supernatural as it's portrayed in the Bible, we have little grey entities appearing at the bottom of somebody's bed or manifesting in the sky. And, of course, no one would believe in fairies in this enlightened age, but they're quite happy to believe that, in the millions and millions of galaxies and trillions of planets possibly out there, that they've been chosen and they're special. And these are beings from another planet. And people, get taken in by it. And, of course, the governments are also being taken in by it because at the subset, this is a subset, if you like, of the whole origins debate. Because if people believe that life evolved here on the Earth, they have no problems with believing that it evolved countless times over elsewhere in the universe. And of course, if people believe in, the Big Bang, the cosmic evolution of the universe, those alien races could be millions or billions of years older than us. If they're a million years older than human beings, because they evolved sooner, they could be a million years advanced in their technology. So, of course, they're playing cat and mouse, visiting the Earth by virtue of their advanced technology. It's the stuff of sci-fi, basically.
But you definitely believe what we're really seeing here is demonic manifestations.
Absolutely. One thing I would caveat is also what tends to happen in the Christian realm is we like to have a one-size-fits-all explanation, and the UFO believers do that too, and the skeptics do it. For example, a skeptic, even though he might believe, on life evolving on other planets, he understands that the physics and the science of interstellar travel is basically impossible. You've got to defy the very laws of physics. So every sighting, every experience somebody has, they have to explain, if you like, with a naturalistic explanation. Well, it's swamp gas, it's ball lightning, it's lenticular clouds, or if somebody's having an experience, it's a psychological delusion. Now, the UFO believer, the true believers, they are constrained, if you like, to try to interpret every experience, every sighting as a real extraterrestrial visitation. And I think what we have to be careful of as Christians is to, if you like, put a spiritual label on every experience. When it comes to sightings in the sky, in fact, over 90% can always be explained. But the reason we tend to think of them as something more mysterious, perhaps if I give this example, can you imagine 150 years ago let's say a farmer's in his field one night and he's herding his cows and he sees some strange lights moving around the sky, interacting with each other as if they're being guided intelligently. But 150 years ago, no one's seen a motor car, a rocket ship, an aeroplane. So within the cultural understanding of his day, he might interpret it as an angel or a demon, or he might think he needs some new glasses or something like this. But let's shift forward to today. As soon as we see something in the sky we don't understand moving around, immediately people say, oh, that might be a UFO. And of course, UFO doesn't really mean unidentified flying object anymore. It means a spaceship piloted by, alien beings. So we have this cultural overlay. There's a couple of things. Science fiction and the popularization of that. That is the number one entertainment genre today, bar none. You mentioned on the weekend during your talks about the latest movie, Avatar, and its New Age spirituality within that and its environmental themes. And the second aspect is what I've just mentioned before, evolution. You see, because if people believe in evolution happening here on the Earth, they've got no problem with it happening elsewhere. Whereas I've shown in my book and also articles on our website at creation.com that the very idea of intelligent, sentient life created by God, for example, would actually destroy the gospel of Christ. So if you like, I'm biased, but I admit I'm constrained within my own worldview to say that they're not aliens because the Bible does not allow such things.
And thus they're demonic.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so where can people get the book and what's it titled?
The book is called Alien Intrusion, UFOs and the Evolution Connection, and the book's available on Creation Ministries International website, which is creation.com.
Creation.com. Okay, folks, I'm Brannon Howse. This is Understanding the Times, the radio ministry program of Olive Tree Views and of Jan Markell. Jan, as you know, is recovering from surgery. Continue to pray for her. I'm holding down the fort here on the radio program until she gets back. The staff of the Olive Tree Views Ministry is holding down the fort in the office, continuing to update the website, put up new articles. They're there, and we'll bring you updates next week. Please don't call the office this week asking, for an update. They just can't handle that volume. But you can be checking out her Caring Bridge page, as well as we'll bring you an update next week. But don't forget, Jan's conference is coming up next week in Minneapolis, St. Paul. You'll find all the details at olivetreeviews.org, olivetreeviews.org. Joining me now is, as I said earlier, Gary Bates, and he's talking to us really about the rise of the interest in UFOs, the pagan spirituality, the spiritual world. As I laid out in my presentation to you in today's program, I believe this is helping to not only increase the interest in the spiritual realm, but also increasing the interest in universalism, all religions coming together. I give you many examples. Gary, tell me how this does help to further the idea or agenda of universalism, or that all roads lead to the same God. I mean, you told me that some folks believe Muhammad's actually on a spaceship somewhere, that Jesus is on a spaceship somewhere. Tell me how all this plays into potentially the promotion of a one-world religion in the last days.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Well, you remember I said that this phenomenon has been happening for a long period of time. For example, Joseph Smith had a visitation, and he was given extra-biblical revelation. He was visited supposedly by an angel, and then Muhammad had the same experience. You see, his meditations in a cave, he came out, some debate amongst Islamic scholars as to when, the Quran was actually collated. But we're seeing exactly the same events, if you like, occurring today. For example, the Raelians. Rael has this universalist message, if you like. He embraces all religions, Islam, Judaism, Christianity, Buddhism. He's appealing now to try to have an embassy built in Jerusalem to welcome the aliens back. If people don't recall who the Raelians are, these are the group that claimed several years ago that they'd cloned a child, and they made headlines here in the States and in Canada. He's claimed, for example, he's been up on the spaceship. He's met Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, all living together in peace and harmony. And basically, it's the Christians are the ones that are really holding everything up, because we seem to be stuck in our old fuddy-duddy ways, and we're not allowing Mother Earth to evolve to its next level, or its next ascendancy, etc. So what happened is some years ago when